everyone, welcome to another motovlog on my channel. My name is Marshall3498, and today's motovlog, what I'd like to talk about is why I purchased this 2023 KTM 890 Adventure Model S, or base model. And not particularly like why I purchased the S model or the base model instead of the R, but why I chose the 890 Adventure platform as a whole. And that is because, you know, I'm fortunate enough to have a 2016 Yamaha FJR 1300 that I adore for street riding, but this is for adventure riding and back road riding more than anything. I have the FJR for touring and all riding on the street, like I said, but this bike is more for back roads, 4-lane highways, adventure riding. I'm fortunate enough that actually about 45 minutes or maybe about 30 minutes down a 4-lane and then a 2-lane, that is where the Cherokee National Forest starts, where I live at in the East Tennessee area. And in that area, there are some gravel roads up there and some like Forest Service roads. I know roughly about where they're at, but I haven't adventured over there, no pun intended, to find out where they are, how long they are, that kind of stuff just yet. Like I said, I have a general idea within, you know, a 5-mile radius on where some of them are and where some of them are farther down from that. But I really want to do the Mid-Atlantic BDR, at least day 1 and day 2, because I'm only about an hour and a half away from Damascus, Virginia, where it begins. That's day 1. That's like 120 miles. Day 2 is where it's a lot more off-road focus. It's about 60 miles, and it's like the Tub Run Road and all that stuff. And you know, this bike might see the occasional jaunt down the interstate of maybe an hour just to connect to another road if I have to. But I don't really like riding on the interstate if I can help it. People go way too fast, don't pay attention. They think, well, I'm on the interstate, so I can still scroll on Facebook or whatever and not pay attention. And you know, speeds are higher, so in my opinion, you should pay attention that much more. You know, I don't mind it in a car because I have protection of a car around me, obviously. But on a motorcycle, I just don't. People, they don't pay attention. They weave in and out. They really tailgate. You know, riding people's bumper really bad, and I don't really like it because it gives me a lot of uneasy feeling. You've got all the big trucks and you got all the turbulent wind coming off them, and those guys sometimes don't pay attention, even though they do a pretty decent job of driving compared to everyday drivers of passenger cars. But I still don't like that either. So you know, yes, I could have got a more 50-50 bike. I considered the Triumph Tiger 900 Rally a fantastic motorcycle, and you know, a really good no compromise, as Big Rock Moto Ian said it, motorcycle. But the Triumph's another tier of money above what this cost, about $3,500 more. And it's also, you know, it's too, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it's too pretty to take off-road. You know, the gas tank on that thing, if you dent the gas tank real bad or have to tear it up, it's like $3,500 to replace that gas tank. Just buying it, I believe. And yeah, it's more like a 70-30 bike, 70% on-road, 30% off-road. And it really is still good enough at off-road, but it is really top-heavy feeling, and it feels big, and the bars are wide, and the bike just feels big. This bike here, to me, you know, after putting a decent amount of miles on it, now has 142 miles. It doesn't feel that way to me at all. It feels compact, and everything kind of centered around the rider and the center of gravity, because of the gas tanks, you know, where it's like where a boxer motor would be essentially on each side of the bike. That really tends to me, what I've felt so far of the bike, that really makes this bike feel, even though it weighs 465 and it's not light, but it makes it feel much lower in the 400, like say 425, 410 pound. And I'm sure, and you know, like the riding position is good. The Triumph's wind protection is better, I will argue that, but for what like I said, I wanted the bike for, this is just fine for me. I have no complaints so far whatsoever, other than in usual fashion, even though they updated it, the KTM stock seat is only about an hour at a time, and then you're ready to get off and take a break. It's not uncomfortable, but it does wear on you, at least on me, after about an hour. But that's fixable. That's not a deal breaker. You know, there's lots of seat companies out there to remedy that, whether I go like Sargent seat, like it's on my FJR, or if I go, you know, some of the other brands out there that can't think of the one that everybody uses off the top of my head now. Somebody in the comments will tell me. But they make a lot of seats at dirt bikes and stuff. I wish I could think of that name off the top of my head. Anyways, but you know, like the Africa Twin, that's a fantastic bike also. But it's way heavier than this. Even the base model is over 500 pounds. And I've ridden one of those bikes, and although it's a nice bike, all the, you know, the Apple CarPlay and the gazillion buttons are a nice thing to have once you get used to it, I'm sure, but it's just a little bit too much fancy to me. And there again, like the Triumph, it's another 2,000 or 3,000, maybe close to 4,000 if you get the adventure spec one, the even bigger one, bike than this. And you know, every bike has their pluses and minuses, but this is what I chose that I think should work the best for me overall. KTM's, yes, their reliability is questionable, but there's a lot of people that really brag about the bikes. And yes, every bike manufacturer has their, you know, their weird quirks and their weird things that break and the weird things that go wrong. And you know, Japanese bikes as a whole aren't like that. The Australian brand, the KTM, has a reputation for being just and listen, everybody can, you know, put their 2 cents in, I'm sure they will, but there's lots of people out there that just really praise KTM. And if they were that much of a piece of trash, then they would continue to be selling bikes, and they wouldn't be the one that all the reviewers, not only press guys, but guys who own them and ride them every day, to praise about them over and over, talk about how good of a bike they are. And you know, it's just one of those things. If they're that much of a piece of trash, they would not be selling bikes and not be constantly updating bikes to make improvements on them and make them that much better. If they weren't, they would be selling nothing. But you know, this is what I think works the best for me, in that, you know, upper middleweight genre, and they're easy to work on. They're kind of simply designed too for the at-home mechanic. Like, you know, I do all my own fluid changes, but I'm not gonna pull the gas tank off this thing and do a valve check, because it's just, yeah, it's too much risk for me. I can do oil changes and other stuff fairly simply. I've done it on my FJR. I'm sure I can do it on this when the time arises, but I have quite a while before I even need to first oil change. So but unfortunately, my KTM dealer, that they said that KTM, the only stipulation is, and this bike does come with a 2-year 21,000 mile warranty, which I think is pretty good. My only stipulation that my dealer told me is that KTM wants you to have the dealer do the first initial 600 mile break-in service, and after that, KTM doesn't care if you do it or the dealer does it. So it's probably best if the dealer does the first 600 mile. These guys build KTMs and work on them all the time, so they may know to look for something that I don't necessarily know to look for, and that's okay. I'm willing to pay that entry fee into that to make sure the bike's good from then on out, because usually, you know, generally speaking, if something's going to happen early on something with something's new, it's going to happen early. Yes, I know fuel pumps and other stuff like that go out, and that's a wear item, and that's to be expected. Depends on how long it lasts. Who really knows? You know. But on that, guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's motovlog. If you've not already done so, please like, share, and subscribe, and turn the bell on. And we'll see you on the next one. Ride safe and have fun. See ya.